بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الصلاة We are tonight assembled here to pay our final tributes to our Mawla and the first Imam, Asadullah al-Ghalib, مطلوب كل طالب نقطة دائرة المطالب علي ibn Abi Talib عليه السلام. But before I do so in Urdu, which I will do after a few minutes, I would like to speak a few words about what is contemporarily very important. For the crowd that has assembled tonight gives me an impetus and encourages me to say a few words. The world today is bent upon defeating everything that is Islamic in the world. The so-called superpowers have already contrived a plan which is called the New World Order. Under the guise of this beautiful name that they have contrived, the principal aim is to see that what is known as Islamization is totally defeated. Where the people stand up to adopt Islamic means and Islamic ways, the plan is already afoot to see that such people are either defeated or eliminated or annihilated and destroyed, especially if those people have leadership in their hands or if they lead the countries or the nations. There are certain subtle designs to which I believe the attention of my younger friends, boys and girls, must be drawn, because I have been principally addressing them during the last 20 days. The first and foremost is that under the name of education and the syllabus for education, our children are systematically being subjected to a propaganda of change of values. They know our weaknesses very well. As far as the celebrations are concerned and the rituals and ceremonies are concerned, they will never come in your way. They might stop it for a while to see that your emotions are further whipped up and you enter into a frenzy, and then they would give in to give you an impression that we have at last accepted your request. Example. In Birmingham, for example, when the Muslims applied to be allowed to deliver adhan from the loudspeaker for public to hear, the first reaction of the authorities was that this cannot be allowed because any noise created beyond certain decibels would be harmful for neighborhood, and therefore it is not allowed. And conditions were laid that certain decibels must be observed. And naturally the Muslims reacted. And the result was that after some deliberations here and there in the corridors of power, They ostensibly gave in to say, all right, Muslims are after all our citizens and subjects. We should allow them to give azan. And Muslims thought that that was the day of victory. In a statement issued by the colonial office in those days to the Indian Viceroy, I have read very clearly mentioned that whenever Muslims arise for their own rituals and ceremonies, first refuse them and allow them to arouse themselves emotionally and then give in, for these are no important things to us. What is very important is to change the thinking and the values which the Muslims have been taught by their Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that we can do in our universities and the colleges. We shall do it, and a student coming to university or a college with the intention of studying and attaining any qualification or degree or whatever, or at least have a college and university experience and meet the professors and meet the highly learned people, there subtle hints are thrown into the minds where the very values which have been preached by Islam are totally challenged, and the man is put out of his wits, cannot decide as to whether this is true or that is true. Examples. Islam teaches us that we must respect our parents. Imam Zainul Abidin salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi is visited by a man, a very pious and righteous man, and he says, Yabna Rasulillah, I have an old mother who is now nearing 100. She cannot travel independently. From Medina to Mecca, I have carried her on my shoulders, and I took her for Umrah and also for Hajj. And not only that, but I carried her on my shoulders and did tawaf for her 7 times. 7 Hajj. Imam alayhi salam said, I am so pleased to hear this, that you served your mother, you served your mother. He said, Ibn Rasulullah, what I want to ask you is whether I have paid back my mother her obligations or not. And Imam alayhi salam said, you have not paid even the rocking of the cradle. So he said, Ibn Rasulullah, how come you say this? He said, listen to this. The obligation of your mother towards you was at the time when you were young and helpless and tender. And at that time she prayed for your life, prepared to sacrifice her own. You are serving your mother when you are expecting her death. She was expecting your life. And there is a change and a difference between expecting somebody's life and expecting somebody's death. This is Islam. And there we are being told that the parents did not consult us when they brought us to this life. They married, and the natural outcome was the birth of an offspring, and they have not obliged us in any way. The root is being challenged. The value is being challenged. A Muslim may come for adhan, may come for namaz, may come for majlis, may come for Muharram, he may attend all the nights of Ramadan, the a'mal of Shab Qadr or whatever. If his mother or her mother is not pleased with him or her, not a single a'mal is qabul. Not a single. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends his malaika with all the a'mal back to throw on his face and say, take it back, we don't want it because your mother is not happy with you. That is Islam. So why should they be concerned about our rituals? They are concerned about the values. Bertrand Russell writes in his work on marriage, and he says the chastity and purity of a woman before marriage is no virtue. Islam says it is a virtue. What is called iffah, what is called pak damani, it is a virtue of a woman before she is married. And we are told by these people that it is no virtue. That means there is a direct assault and attack on the values taught by Islam. And this is going on and on and on. And I can go on citing examples after examples to show you where we are at this moment in life. And anyone who rises to say that this is what we will follow and we will not follow that which is not Islamic, that young boy or young girl may face difficulties in life this time. So much so that even their thesis might not be accepted and they might not even be granted doctorates. Because if they write on Islam, they will be told they are subjective. You don't get your doctorate if you are subjective. And you are not accepted as objective unless you write something against Islam. This is true, Dr. Sadi. I have seen the thesis written by Muslimin and Mu'mineen who themselves believe in Imam al-Zamana, but in their thesis they have written that concept of Mahdi is political. Because they wanted to get the doctorate. This dichotomy in the lives of Muslims is gradually being encouraged by the so-called superpowers. So this is why Ayatollah al-Khumaini rahmatullah alayhi said that there are two types of Islam. One is the Americanized Islam and one is Muhammad's Islam. Are we American Muslims? Or are we Muslims of Quran and the Prophet? This is tonight's assembly here is to encourage a Muslim young man and a young woman to be a Muslim without any apology. Why be apologetic? We have got our own system and our own laws about it. The fact is that because our young people, either we as mullahs or leaders of the community don't grant them an opportunity to learn the lessons of Islam, or it is their own disinterestedness and indifference which has resulted in this vacuum and this gap which has been created. We both have got to sit together to see that this gap is filled, so that a young man who goes into the field, he goes with his courage to say, here I am a Muslim. I accept my responsibilities and my shortcomings. I don't throw the blame on you. When a newspaper prints that Saudi Arabia goes on cutting the hands and chopping the hands of a thief, a Muslim tries to hide. Because we are told that this is barbaric and medieval, to chop off the hands of a thief. Now it is being done in Saudi Arabia, where anyone who steals 50p worth of goods, and if he is arrested, his hand will be chopped. And those who steal millions, they are the multimillionaires of the earth. They are the ones who are respected. In the court of Mamun Rashid, when Imam Rida salawatullah wa salamu alayhi was sitting, a thief was brought, a person who had been accused of stealing. How much he stole, I don't have any detail from the riwayah itself. But it seems that it was a very, very petty theft. But he was arrested. And when he came there, Mamun asked him and he confessed. Well, the moment he confessed, he said, fine, then his hands be chopped off. Now, in those days, they used to chop off the hands from the wrist, as they do it now. And he said, Mamun, well, whatever you have already ruled will be done. But I want to ask you only one question. What is the criterion? that a man steals and makes a petty theft, his hands be chopped. What about you who have stolen the treasure of Islam? And there is no one to tell you. The seat you are sitting upon belongs to Ahlul Bayt, and you have usurped the whole throne. What about you as a big thief? He was offended. And at that time, he just looked at Imam alayhi salam and said, Ibn Rasulullah, did you hear this man? What a courage these Muslims these days have. And Imam alayhi salam said, what he says is the absolute truth. But my friends, there was no need for hiding behind the curtain, because we did not know that what are the actual rules under which the hands would be finally chopped. While they unscrupulously chop off the hands to smear the name of Islam, the facts are that there are nearly 16 conditions to be followed before the fingers can be chopped, and not even the hands. It is not so easy to chop off the hand, because in Islam, that chopping off of the hand was supposed to be a preventive thing, something to discourage and not to encourage theft, nor was it supposed to be something inhuman. There are conditions. If my brothers and sisters knew about it, then we could sit with those who spoke and tell them that this is Islam, and they would accept it, because this is human inclination to see that crimes, before they are perpetrated, they are prevented. But we don't know what are our laws. So we are at a time here when the world demands, and I finish it now because I would like to complete this majlis of mine in very short time, that we cannot remain oblivious to the world around us. We cannot be like ostriches, hiding our faces into the storm, allowing the sandstorm to pass and say, I have not seen. We have got to be alive to what is happening, because it is affecting not only the whole Islamic world, it is affecting our children, and it's affecting our generation to come, and we will soon be left behind, my friends. This is the reason why in Nahjul Balagha, Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah wa salamu alayhi says, أَأَقْنَوْ أَنْ يُقَالَ لِي أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That should I be satisfied that I am called Amirul Mu'mineen, the faithful of, the master of the faithfuls? Should I be satisfied with that, while things around me portray the adverse circumstances in which Muslims live? Should I just be satisfied that I am called Amirul Mu'mineen? What about the poor? What about the unhealthy? What about the illiterates? What about Islamic values? What about the onslaught from the enemies? Quran says, prepare yourselves. Prepare yourselves. Quran says clearly, prepare yourselves with your horses. I mean, this is metaphorical. In these days, with your power, with your horses and your sword. Prepare yourselves to counteract the onslaught of the infidels and disbelievers. We have got to do that. If we don't do this, we are not going to carry this community any far. And when I talk of this community, I'm talking of the entire Shia Isnashi community, and when you go beyond it, of the entire Muslim Ummah and Muslim community. This translation of Bosnian language, Quran, which just was presented by Muhammad, it became necessary because the Bosnian refugees told us that we listen to what I'm saying, because this is not only appeal for funds. I'm not asking for funds. They have already done it. Whoever pays in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is baqiyatus salihat. Anyone who will read Quran, the thawab is jari forever. So that I don't need to emphasize. What I am telling you is what they have told us. They said that we have undergone some of the worst time, and it is true. We haven't seen worse time than this, when the Bosnian children were cut into pieces, and their flesh was roasted for people to eat. Yes, that means they were killed like slaughtered animals, where the mothers were dishonored, so that the children brought into this earth would be the children of kuffar. Yet what they said when they met us was that we have gone through the worst time. Perhaps Allah wanted us to become better Muslims now. We were Muslims by name. We did not know anything. We ate pigs and lard and pork. We partook of every wine and spirit. We were just not practicing Muslims. We did not know what Islam was. Perhaps Allah willed that we should come to learn in the hard way. Can you help us? Well, this is the translation of Hal min nasirin yansuruna. When Imam Hussain alayhi salam said, is there anyone to help? Imam Hussain says today, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. There is no time for us to draw the sword, but a time for us to fight with the guns. But the time has come to give whatever we can in the name of that Islam, which is being attacked from all sides. The new book has come out recently, which I bought in Toronto. It is a new book which has come, it's a new publication. The name of the book is By Way of Deception. By Way of Deception. It's a new book which I bought, and I went through the pages during this month of Ramadan, and I sometimes could not sleep. When I read for the first time how the intelligence units of Mossad and America and other superpowers are systematically working to smear the name of Islam. And we are sleeping. And it's for this reason, my friends, that my appeal to all of you is that in the name of Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullahi wa salamu alayh, let us awaken. Let us not just put blinkers on our eyes and say, we don't see. We cannot. Let us be awake to the plight of our children who are being systematically exposed to the influences which are not desirable. Please ask your son what he is studying. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Very soon a new educational paper and system is going to come into force. Very soon, when Islam will be openly labeled as a medieval primitive religion. And under the guise of objective study and comparative study, this will be brought before the table and before the desk of our children. Tell me what a young man or a woman conviction she or he can have, even in the assemblies like this, if there is no faith, or if the faith has been shaken already. There is just coming for the sake of socializing. This is not a socializing event. This is an event of confirmation of faith. May Allah grant us tawfiq. It is a pain here, and there is so many things I want to say. May Allah grant us tawfiq, and may this Shab Qadr be the night on which we start thinking seriously how to save our new generation from the impact. This campus scourge of addiction, Allahu Akbar, drug addiction. At that high level, which is called university. Do you know this, that at least 6 cases of drug addiction are before me? 6. May Allah not show me the 7th. Ya ilahi wa sayyidi wa mawla. आज की रात उर्दू में मुझे कुछ ज़्यादा बयान नहीं करना, बस مولا کو الوداع کہنا ہے. سید و آقا خدا حافظ. آپ کا احسان یہ امت کبھی نہ بھولی. آپ نہ ہوتے تو ہمیں صحیح اسلام سے روشناس کون کرتا؟ آپ نہ ہوتے تو دنیا کو کون کہتا جبکہ جنگ ہو رہی تھی؟ لیلۃ الحریر میں جنگ ہو رہی ہے، اللہ اکبر، اور نماز کا وقت آ رہا ہے. ادھر مصلی بچھ رہا ہے. ابن عباس کہتا ہے یا علی یہ نماز کا وقت ہے جب تیروں کی بوچھار ہو رہی ہے، جب دشمن سامنے ڈٹے ہوئے ہیں، اور مولا جواب میں کہتے ہیں اسی نماز کے لیے تو جنگ ہو رہی ہے. کون کہتا؟ مسائل پوچھنے کے لیے آ رہے ہیں. صفین کی جنگ میں لوگ روک رہے ہیں مسئلہ پوچھنے والے کو، موقع نہیں ہے مسئلہ پوچھنے. مولا فرماتے ہیں اس کو پوچھنے دے بھائی، میں جواب دوں گا، اس لیے کہ اسی معرفت کے لیے تو یہ جنگ ہو رہی ہے. اور آخری شب جو کل کی شب تھی، جبکہ مولا بیمار تھے اور لوگ عیادت کے لیے آتے تھے، چہرے کا رنگ امام کا زرد ہو گیا تھا، زہر کا اثر ہو چکا تھا، اور لوگ آتے تھے اور مولا جواب دیتے تھے. یہاں تک کہ ایک ایسی منزل پر پہنچے کہ مولا نے کہا اب مجھے بہت ہلکے ہلکے سوال پوچھو، خففوا علی، کچھ تخفیف کرو کہ اب میں نہیں بول سکتا. یہ حالت ہو مولا. ایسے میں کسی نے کہا کہ طبیب کو بلائے. طبیب یعنی ڈاکٹر، اس زمانے کا حکیم جو کوفے کا حاذق حکیم تھا، وہ آیا. مولا کے سر اقدس پر عصابہ بندھا ہوا، پٹی بندھی ہوئی تھی. اس کی روایت یہ ہے کہ پٹی کا رنگ تھا زرد، یلو، مگر میں دیکھ نہ سکا اس لیے کہ چہرے کا رنگ اور پٹی کا رنگ ایک ہو گیا تھا. یہ حاذق طبیب نے کہا. میں نے ایک رگ اس زخم کے اندر رکھی، اور جب میں نے اس رگ کو نکالا ہے تو وہ پوری رگ جو ہے وہ زہر آلود ہو چکی تھی. تو میں نے ایک مرتبہ جھک کے کہا میرے سید و آقا وصیت کر لیجیے، وصیت کر لیجیے. آپ نے فرمایا یہ تو دنیا کا ایک ظاہری دنیا کا سبب ہے کہ تجھے بلایا گیا. میں جانتا ہوں کہ اب وقت سفر ہے، تو آیا ہے، یہ تو ایک ظاہری چیز ہے کہ حکیم کو بلایا گیا، آ گئے. میں جانتا ہوں ایک مرتبہ مولا نے اپنے اہل و عیال کو سب کو بلایا، اور امام حسن کو اس طرف جمع کھڑا کیا، اس طرف اولاد کو، ایک ایک بچے کو اور بچی کو امام حسن کے حوالے کیا، اور کہا اب میرے بعد یہ میرے وصی ہیں، یہ امام مطلق ہیں، یہ جو حکم کریں ان کے حکم کے مطابق تعمیل کرو، انہی کی اطاعت کرو. مولا امام حسن کے ہاتھ میں تمام، جناب زینب نے بھی ہاتھ دیا، ام کلثوم نے بھی ہاتھ دیا، جتنے بچے تھے وہاں سب نے ہاتھ دیا. ایک خاتون اپنے چھوٹے بچے کو سنبھالے ہوئے کمرے کے گوش میں کھڑی رہی. اس خاتون کا نام ہے ام البنین، بس دیکھ رہی ہیں اور رو رہی ہیں. ایک مرتبہ مولا نے متوجہ ہو کے کہا ام البنین آپ کیوں روتی ہیں؟ کہا عباس کو حسن کے حوالے نہ کیا. کہا ٹھہرو ام البنین، بھیا اپنے اس کا حسین کو بلاؤ، بیٹا ادھر آؤ. اور حسین کے ہاتھ میں عباس کا ہاتھ دے کے کہا عباس خدا سے تجھے مانگا تھا انہی کے لیے. اس طرح سے رات کٹتی رہی. بس دوستو، جب 21ویں رات صبح کا وقت آیا ہے، یعنی نماز صبح سے پہلے، ایک مرتبہ تمام بچوں کو کہا خدا حافظ. پیروں کو پھیلایا مولا نے، اور تشہد میں کہا لا الہ الا اللہ محمد الرسول اللہ، گواہ رہنا میں گواہی دیتا ہوں. اس کے بعد سورہ والصافات کی آیت پڑھی، سورہ والصافات کی آیت پڑھی، جس میں ہے فَلِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. دنیا میں عمل کرنے والے اس طرح عمل کریں جیسے علی ابن ابی طالب نے عمل کیا. فَلِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ سورہ والصافات کی آیت پڑھی، اس کے بعد آنکھوں کو بند کیا. مولا خدا حافظ، مولا دنیا سے اٹھے، روح اقدس پرواز کر گئی. دوستو بس میں نے ختم کیا ہے، زیادہ بیان نہیں کرنا. یہ جب قبر میں اور لحد میں لٹا چکے امام حسن اور امام حسین علیہ السلام، جب قبر میں مولا کو لٹا چکے نجف میں، تو تاریخ میں یہ ملتا ہے کہ لحد ہی کے اندر کھڑے کھڑے امام حسن نے حسین کو دیکھا، امام حسین نے حسن کو دیکھا، اور لحد کے اندر بغل گیر ہو کے دو بچے روئے ہیں اپنے باپ پر. گویا یہ پہلا موقع تھا کہ بھائی نے بھائی کو دلاسا دیا، اور اس کے بعد اٹھے، قبر بند ہوئی، واپس جا رہے. بس روایت میں یہ ملتا ہے کہ ایک جگہ سے گزرے کہ خفیف سی آواز سنائی، کہاں ہے اے تو میرا محسن؟ ہائے تو جب آتا تھا تو کتنی مہربانی سے مجھے کھلاتا تھا، آج 3 دن ہوئے تو آیا نہیں، تو کہاں ہے؟ اگر تو بیمار ہے تو خدا تجھے شفا دے. اے میرے محسن مجھے بھول نہ جانا، ہاں میں بھوکا ہوں، مگر اگر کھاؤں گا تو تیرے ہاتھ سے کھاؤں گا. تو جب آتا تھا تو کہتا تھا مسکین جالسم مسکینہ، ارے مسکین مسکین کے پاس بیٹھا ہے. میں تجھے پوچھتا تھا کہ تو کون ہے، تو تو کہتا تھا نہ پوچھ، میں بھی تیری طرح بندہ خدا ہوں. یہ آواز جو سنی تو حسن مجتبی متوجہ ہوئے، دیکھا کہ ایک جگہ پر ایک شخص بیٹھا ہے، دونوں آنکھوں سے معذور ہے، پیر بھی کام نہیں کرتے، بیٹھا ہے اور رو رہا ہے. امام حسن بیٹھے، کہا بھائی کس کو یاد کرتا ہے؟ کہا کیا بتاؤں، ایک آتا تھا شخص، کتنی مہربانی سے کھلاتا تھا مجھے، اور کہتا تھا مسکین جالسم مسکینہ، اور کہتا تھا گھبرا نہیں آیا کروں گا، مگر آج 3 دن سے آیا نہیں. بھائی تو بھی دعا کر اور میں بھی دعا کروں، خدا اس کو تمام آسیب سے بچائے. ایک مرتبہ حسن نے جھک کے کہا بھائی، ارے اس کے سر پہ تو تلوار لگی اور ابھی دفن کر کے آیا ہو، وہ علی ابن ابی طالب ہیں. اس نے ایک مرتبہ کہا اچھا وہ ختم ہو گئے، مارے گئے، شہید ہو گئے، مجھے ان کی قبر پر لے چل. ارے قبر غریب پر آتے ہی قبر سے لپٹ کے کہا اے احسان کرنے والے مرتضیٰ، اب تمہارے بعد اور زندہ رہنے کی کیا ضرورت ہے؟ وہیں پر اس کی روح قبض